mother made us promise never to look for our father, but when we found him, we finally understood why. The phone call came at 3:17 a.m., jolting me awake with a sound I'd never heard before. My mother screaming, not crying or upset, but raw, primal terror that made my blood freeze. Through the static and her gasping breaths, I caught fragments. He found us, and the symbols, and you have to run. The line went dead before I could ask what was happening. When I tried calling back, her phone went straight to voicemail. Daniel was already pulling on clothes when I pounded on his apartment door, his face grim as I explained the call. We'd been living in the same complex since college, close enough to look out for each other, but nothing had prepared us for this moment. The drive to our mother's house took 12 minutes that felt like hours, both of us silent as we processed what we might find. Her front door was hanging open, security chain dangling broken, and the living room looked like a tornado had torn through it. Furniture overturned, family photos scattered across the floor with their glass frames shattered, and on the white wall above the couch, someone had painted a symbol in what looked like dried blood, a circle with intersecting lines that hurt to look at directly. My brother Daniel found our mother's cell phone smashed in the kitchen sink, along with her laptop computer that had been deliberately destroyed with what looked like a hammer. The refrigerator door hung open, revealing that someone had methodically emptied every container and bottle onto the floor, creating a sticky mess that crunched under our feet. But it was the basement that made us both freeze in absolute horror. The concrete walls were covered floor to ceiling with photographs, hundreds of them showing Daniel and me at different ages, walking to school, playing in parks, sleeping in our beds. Someone had been watching us our entire lives, documenting every moment with the patience of a predator. In the center of one wall, written in the same dark substance as the symbol upstairs, were the words, "My sons will come home." Below that, an address in Oregon and a date, tomorrow's date. Our mother was nowhere to be found, but a trail of her blood led from the living room to the back door, where tire tracks in the mud showed a large vehicle had been parked. We called 911, but even as we spoke to the dispatcher, we both knew the police wouldn't be fast enough to save her. The detective who arrived an hour later listened to our story with growing skepticism, taking notes as we explained about our mother's warnings and the research we'd done about our father. Detective Rivers was a tired-looking woman in her 40s who'd clearly seen enough missing person cases to recognize the patterns, but she kept asking why we thought this was connected to a man our mother claimed to have left 30 years ago. When we showed her the basement filled with surveillance photos, her expression changed completely. She called for a forensics team and started making phone calls to federal agencies, her voice dropping to urgent whispers as she described what they'd found. While we waited for backup to arrive, she pulled us aside and explained that cults and extremist religious groups were a growing concern for law enforcement, especially those that had gone underground after initial investigations. She warned us that if our father was still active and had taken our mother, going to Oregon would likely be walking into a trap designed specifically for us. But she also admitted that standard police procedures moved slowly, and our mother might not have time for bureaucratic protocols to play out. The forensic team